Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Radhanath Radha, Radhanath Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. I'd like to So wonderful to sit and serve with all the devotees again. So we're speaking every Sunday for Sri Isopanisad. So today we'll be discussing text 15. So I'll just read the translation, the verse, the translation, the purport, and then we'll speak further. So text 15. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukam tatvam pushana parvenu satya dharmaya dristaye. Translation. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 27, the Lord explains his personal rays or Brahma Jyoti, the dazzling effulgence of his personal form, in this way. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyayasya cha sasvatasya cha dharmasya sukasya kantikasya cha. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are three aspects of the same absolute truth. Brahman is the aspect most easily perceived by the beginner. Paramatma, the supersoul, is realized by those who have further progressed, and Bhagavan realization is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.7. where Lord Krishna says that he is the ultimate concept of the absolute truth. Mata parataram nanyat. Therefore, Krishna is the source of the Brahma Jyoti as well as the all-pervading Paramatma. Later in the Bhagavad Gita 10.42, Krishna further explains, but what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With the single fragment of myself, I pervade and support the entire universe. Thus, by his plenary expansion, the all-pervading Paramatma, the Lord, maintains the complete material cosmic creation. He also maintains all manifestations in the spiritual world. Therefore, in this Shruti mantra of Sri Isopanisad, the Lord is addressed as Pushan, the ultimate maintainer. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is always filled with transcendental bliss, Anandamayo Bhyasat. When he was present at Vrindavan in India 5,000 years ago, he always remained in transcendental bliss even from the beginning of his childhood pastimes. The killings of various demons such as Aga, Baka, Putana, and Pralamba were but pleasure excursions for him. In his village of Vrindavan, he enjoyed himself with his mother, brother, and friends. And when he played the role of a naughty butter thief, all his associates enjoyed celestial bliss by his stealing. The Lord's fame as a butter thief is not reproachable, for by stealing butter, the Lord gave pleasure to his devotees. Everything the Lord did in Vrindavan was for the pleasure of his associates there. The Lord created these pastimes to attract the dry speculators and the acrobats of the so-called Hatha Yoga system who wish to find the absolute truth. Of the childhood play between the Lord and his playmates, the cowherd boys, Shukadeva Goswami says in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.12.11. The personality of Godhead, who is perceived as the impersonal, blissful Brahman by the Gyanis, who is worshipped as the Supreme Lord by the devotees in the mood of servitorship, and who is considered an ordinary human being by mundane people, played with the cowherd boys who had attained their position after accumulating many pious activities. Thus the Lord is always engaged in transcendental loving activities with his spiritual associates in the various relationships of Shanta, neutrality, Dasya, servitorship, Sakya, friendship, Vatsalya, parental affection, and Madhurya, conjugal love. Since it is said that Lord Krishna never leaves Vrindavan Dham, one may ask how he manages the affair of the creation. This is answered in Bhagavad Gita 13, text 14 to 18. The Lord pervades the entire material creation by his plenary part, known as the Paramatma or Supersoul. Although the Lord personally has nothing to do with material creation, maintenance, and destruction, he causes all these things to be done by his plenary expansion, the Paramatma. Every living entity is known as Atma, soul, and the principal Atma who controls them all is Paramatma, the super soul. This system of God realization is a great science. The materialistic Sankhya yogis can only analyze and meditate on the 24 factors of the material creation, for they have very little information of the Purusha, the Lord. And the impersonal transcendentalists are simply bewildered by the glaring effulgence of the Brahmajyoti. If one wants to see the absolute truth in full, one has to penetrate beyond the 24 material elements and the glaring effulgence as well. Sri Isopanisad points towards this direction, praying for the removal of the Hiranmaya Patra, the dazzling covering of the Lord. Unless this covering is removed so one can perceive the real face of the personality of Godhead, factual realization of the absolute truth can never be achieved. The Paramatma feature of the personality of Godhead is one of 3 plenary expansions or Vishnu Tattvas, collectively known as the Purusha avatars. One of these Vishnu Tattvas who is within the universe is known as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. He is the Vishnu among the 3 principal deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and he is the all-pervading Paramatma in each and every individual living entity. The second Vishnu Tattva within the universe is Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, the collective supersoul of all living entities. Beyond these 2 is Karanodakshaya Vishnu, who lies in the causal ocean. He is the creator of all universes. The yoga system teaches the serious student to meet the Vishnu Tattvas after going beyond the 24 material elements of the cosmic creation. The culture of empiric philosophy helps one realize the impersonal Brahma Jyoti, which is the glaring effulgence of the transcendental body of Lord Sri Krishna. That Brahma Jyoti is Krishna's effulgence and is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14:27 as well as Brahma Samhita 5:40. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagananda koti shisheshu vasudha di viputi bhinam tad brahma nishkalam ashtantam ashesha bhutam govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. In the millions and millions of universes, there are innumerable planets, and each and every one of them is different from the others by its cosmic constitution. All of these planets are situated in a corner of the Brahma Jyoti. This Brahma Jyoti is but the personal rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, whom I worship. This mantra from the Brahma Samhita is spoken from the platform of factual realization of the absolute truth, and the Shruti mantra of Sri Isopanisad under discussion confirms this mantra as a process of realization. The Isopanishad mantra is a simple prayer to the Lord to remove the Brahma Jyoti so that one can see his real face. This effulgence is described in detail in several mantras in the Mundaka Upanishad. 2.2, text 10-12. In the spiritual realm beyond the material covering is the unlimited Brahman effulgence, which is free from material contamination. That effulgent white light is understood by transcendentalists to be the light of all lights. In that realm, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity for illumination. Indeed, whatever illumination appears in the material world is only a reflection of that supreme illumination. That Brahman is in the front and in the back, in the north, south, east, and west, and is also overhead and below. In other words, that supreme Brahman effulgence spreads throughout both the material and spiritual skies. Perfect knowledge means knowing Krishna as the root of this effulgence. This knowledge can be gained from such scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam, which perfectly elaborates the science of Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the author, Srila Vyasadeva, has established that one will describe the supreme truth as Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan, according to one's realization of him. Srila Vyasadeva never states that the supreme truth is a jiva, an ordinary living entity. The living entity should never be considered the all-powerful supreme truth. If he were the supreme, he would not need to pray to the Lord to remove his dazzling cover so that the living entity could see his real face. The conclusion is that one who has no knowledge of the potencies of the Supreme Lord will realize the impersonal Brahman. Similarly, one who realizes the material potency of the Lord but has little or no information of the spiritual potency, he attains Paramatma realization. Thus, both Brahman and Paramatma realization are partial realizations. But when one realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna in full potency, after the removal of the Hiranmaya Patra, one realizes Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Lord Sri Krishna, who is known as Vasudeva, is everything. Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. He is Bhagavan, the root, and Brahman and Paramatma are his branches. In the Bhagavad Gita 6, text 46 to 47, there is a comparative analysis of the three types of transcendentalists: the worshippers of the impersonal Brahman or Gyanis, the worshippers of the Paramatma feature, Yogis, and the devotees of Lord Sri Krishna, the Bhaktas. It is stated there that the Gyanis, those who have cultivated Vedic knowledge, are better than ordinary fruitive workers, that the Yogis are still better than the Gyanis, and among all Yogis, those who constantly serve the Lord with all their energies are the topmost. In summary, a philosopher is better than a laboring man, a mystic is superior to a philosopher, and of all the mystic yogis, he who follows Bhakti Yoga, constantly engaging in the service of the Lord, is the highest. Sri Isopanisad directs us towards this perfection. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Sva Parantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Before I speak, I humbly request the mercy and blessings of all the Vaishnavas. Please allow me to say something on this verse and purport of Srila Prabhupada's that is easy to understand and digestible, as well as pleasing to the hearts of the devotees. So, this mantra, we are now, after many weeks, we are coming to the end of the Isopanisad. There's, I think, 3 more verses or about there. So we're coming to the end of the Isopanisad, and we are now starting a section of prayer, of prayers. The speaker of the Isopanisad is now appealing to the Ishvara. Before this, what we were reading was, you could say, a little more of a description. We learned who the Ishvara is, who the soul is in relation to the Ishvara, how to live in harmony with the Ishvara, and so many things, what constitutes the right knowledge in life, how to get that knowledge, and so many things. But now we have come to the final stage, sort of like a culmination of a spiritual journey. You have all these things, you have the knowledge, you know who the Ishvara is, who you are in relation to him, and the endeavor that you need to make, but there is one thing left to learn or to gain, and that is mercy. So we need to intellectually understand who the Lord is in order to offer our heart to him. Of course, endeavor must always be there, and as the Isopanisad states, that we do endeavor through the cultivation of the correct spiritual knowledge and through worship of the Lord. But we need to rely on him as well, and we need to have faith in him. And this is where his mercy comes in. So we now, at the end of all of this, we have the knowledge, we still need to pray to him that, please reveal yourself to me. If there's any hope for me at all, it is only through your mercy that I can actually meet you or see you face to face. The verse previous to this was talking about how we have to know Krishna. And we can actually only know him through prayer. That is today's verse, which is the beginning of the prayer. The verse says, "O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Please remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee." This is an appeal to the Lord. So, as Prabhupada says, that this mantra is a very simple prayer to the Lord, that please remove this effulgence so that I may see your real face. And what this verse highlights is actually the greatness of the personal feature of the Lord. Prabhupada says that this verse is, this verse is fighting against the idea of the impersonal feature of the Lord that many people have. Yes, the impersonal feature of the Lord is there, and that's only one aspect of him, but there is so much more to Krishna than his all-pervading effulgence. The verse uses this word mukham. Mukham means a face. That Krishna has a face, Krishna has a body, Krishna has a personality. There is so much more to him that we still have to uncover. But we must first position ourselves correctly in this right frame of consciousness in order to meet him face to face. Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture in Los Angeles, and he says, he's speaking on this verse, and he says, yes, the Isopanisad, it is part of the Vedas. And so here is the Vedic evidence, against the impersonal Mayavad understanding of the Lord. And we understand that each planet in this universe, in all the millions of universes, there are innumerable universes in the material creation. Each planet has a predominating deity. And Prabhupada gives the example, the sun planet. Vivasvan is the sun god. He is the predominating deity. So Krishna is the predominating deity of the spiritual world. Well, all of creation, but more so the spiritual world. All the Vaikuntha planets are under him in his form of Narayan. And when we read the Bhagavatam, we know that each Vaikuntha planet is run by a particular form of Narayan, and they all have a different personality. Why? They all have a different name. Janardhan, Vishnu, Nrsimha, Vamana, Srinivas, Adokshaja. Each planet has its own Narayan, and each Narayan has his own form, his own personality. The Bhagavatam also says that, yes, they all are four-armed Narayan forms, but they hold, the fourth, the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma in different ways. So that shows that they're all very unique and different. So we cannot, and Prabhupada uses this word to describe Goloka. He says the Krishna planet. He says we cannot see the Krishna planet because of the Brahmajyoti, which is the effulgence of the Lord. But this verse is the Vedic evidence that there is more beyond the Brahmajyoti, that Krishna, there's someone there behind all of this who has a face. There is more. And those who are bhakti yogis, those who are devotees, are those people who are permitted to enter this realm. In the first paragraph of this purport, in the beginning, Prabhupada is talking about the three phases of understanding God, and he mentions Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, and how that we will realize these forms based on our own understanding of where we are in our spiritual journeys. And that's really nice because we understand that Krishna is always there to relate to us on our level of understanding. It's not that there's only the highest and there's only Bhagavan and you have to work your way up that journey no matter how long it takes to actually have a relationship with or understand him. No, Krishna is there at every stage of life waiting for you to relate to him in some aspect. And this is why in this verse Krishna is called the ultimate maintainer. The word maintenance implies a level of steadiness, of continuity. It's not like, that's why they say only Vishnu can do maintenance. No other demigod can maintain, because it's a permanent thing. We know in our houses, there's always something to fix, there's always something to change, there's always something to maintain. Only Krishna can do that. So only he can be with us continuously in that aspect. So he has the ability to relate to us on different levels as per our understanding. It's mentioned in the Krishna book when Krishna and Balaram enter the wrestling arena to fight with the wrestlers and to eventually kill Kamsa. When Krishna and Balaram walk into the arena, everyone who's there, all the different people, they see Krishna in a different way. Like the young ladies are described, they see him as very attractive, so they see him as Cupid. The older people who are they see Krishna and Balaram as just two young boys who need some protection. And the wrestlers and Kamsa see him as death. So Krishna will relate to you according to your relationship with him. And of course, Prabhupada mentions that there were impersonalists in the crowd as well, and they didn't see Krishna, they saw a light. They saw this effulgent white light. And there were yogis in the arena as well, and they saw four-armed Vishnu forms. So Krishna is ever ready to relate to us. And as the purport explains that, Prabhupada is talking about the dry speculators and the acrobatic hatha yogis, Krishna is not very much attracted by jnana and vairagya, by, displays of knowledge and renunciation, and it's very dry for him. He doesn't really take a personal interest in the lives of the jnanis and the yogis. They will meditate for thousands and thousands and millions of years before even getting the slightest glimpse of Krishna. He's like really not interested in that type at all. Like he has some indirect relationship, of course, with them, and he's always there as Paramatma and these things, but he himself takes very long to appear. But if we practice bhakti, you instantly captivate Krishna. Instantly captivate Krishna. And Prabhupada is saying that bliss, happiness, can only be found in bhakti. Why? Because there is relationship in bhakti. There is reciprocation in bhakti. That Krishna is eternally engaged in so many pastimes in Goloka, Vrindavan. I think Bhakti Chaitanya Swami says that, Krishna has to kill a demon before lunch. And I think after lunch as well. He's constantly engaged in something. He always wants to do something. He's not just going to sit in nirvana, in nothingness, and just exist. That's really too boring for he's not exactly 16, right? His eternal age is, 15 years, so many months. Just sitting and doing nothing is too boring. He needs some constant engagement. He needs some flavor, some relationship with us. So he creates all of these pastimes. Shri Shri Radhanath ki jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Krishna is creating these pastimes to attract us, to make spiritual life ever blissful. Because ultimately, Krishna is only interested in relationships. He's just like us in that way. But on the other hand, he's not just going to jump into something with anybody. Like Krishna has standards, right? Just like when we get into a relationship, when we start friendships or associations or romantic relationships, we have some standards. We need to get to know the person a little more. But this is where devotional service comes in. We may not necessarily meet all the standards that are needed. But bhakti is the process, devotional service is the process that will get you there to the standard. But Krishna is like, it's okay. I can see that in the long term, we will have a very beautiful relationship. So let's start somewhere. What level are you on? Let's start from there. Krishna is so kind. And then, yes, this verse is talking about removing the Hiranmaya Patrena. This reminded me of another verse in the Brahma Samhita, Pramanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena, that the devotee has eyes that are anointed with love. And these eyes that are anointed with love gives one the vision to see Krishna. And this is the process of Bhakti Yoga. This is why it is so important, because it is the process to anoint our eyes, our hearts, our minds, thoughts, actions with love for Krishna. This is ultimately what will endear us to Krishna. And the verse in Brahma Samhita explains that Krishna himself, he has inconceivable, innumerable attributes. We cannot even begin to understand the qualities that Krishna has. But the pure devotee will see this in their hearts because their eyes are anointed with devotion, tinged with the salve of love, the translation says. And today's purport continues that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. He never leaves Vrindavan. Why would he leave the place where, all relationships are satisfied in their completion? But he indirectly maintains this material creation through the Paramatma feature of the Lord, through the Vishnu Tattva, through his expansions. And Prabhupada is explaining about the 3 Vishnu incarnations. Shirodakshaya Vishnu, the Paramatma who is within every living entity within our hearts. Krishna is with us every step of the way. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Prabhupada says the collective supersoul. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, I think he's the Vishnu that the lotus sprouts from his navel and Brahma appears, that Vishnu. And then Haranodakshaya Vishnu, that is that Vishnu which lies in the causal ocean, and through his breathing the universes come from his pores. And they are created and destroyed through each outward and inward breath. So Krishna is there in all facets of existence, beyond our conception and within our conception as well. And Prabhupada explains that in the purport, God realization is a really great science. It's a big deal, right? But the materialists, they have no information about Krishna in any way. The impersonalists, they just come to this platform of Brahmajyoti and then they see this light and they just get bewildered. Right? It's so bright and it just confuses them in that way. But the Isopanisad is telling us that you have to stay strong and you have to pray a lot, and you have to go beyond this, right? You have to pray for the removal of this effulgence to actually see Krishna himself. And it's whatever state you're on, you can do that. You can try, you can pray, you can cultivate in some way through sincerity. Krishna, he just waits for these moments where we turn towards him. Prabhupada says in a lecture on the Isopanisad as well that those who are not devotees, those who are jnanis, or even Prabhupada says the demons. We know that when in the Krishna book we read when Krishna kills all the demons, where do they go to? The Brahmajyoti, the effulgence. They do get some liberation in that aspect. So Prabhupada says that the jnanis and the demons are offered the same place, the effulgence, right? So the jnanis practice severe austerities, penances to enter into this effulgence, but the demons, they just have to become the enemy of Krishna and they just get it like that. So quickly, right? But just imagine, Prabhupada is saying, that place which is given to the enemies of Krishna, is that something you really want? To go where the enemies of Krishna are, it's like, suppose, and Prabhupada says, suppose someone comes who is my enemy. I give him some place, and somebody who is my intimate friend, I give him some other place. Similarly, this Brahman effulgence is not at all covetable. Therefore, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has composed this verse, Kaivalyam Narakayate. Kaivalyam means the Brahman effulgence, that's the spiritual light. So, Kaivalyam Narakayate. He says that this effulgence is just like hell. Well, if you're going somewhere where all your enemies are, it's going to be a little hellish, right? So, Kaivalyam Narakayate. But so the devotees, they're not really interested in this because they know there's something more, there's something better, there's something little more deeper. In all aspects, Prabhupada says, the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, they are trying to elevate in some way, and that's a good thing. But above all of them is the devotee. And this is why the devotee's place is the highest, because only by devotion can you understand what is God. Only through devotion. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya mam abhijananti. Prabhupada says that Krishna is not saying by karma one can understand me, by jnana one can understand me, by yoga one can understand me. No, Krishna says by bhakti. Bhaktyamam abhijananti. Simply by devotional service can one understand me. Knowing him as he is, not as I think he should be, as my conception tells me, as my mind thinks me, as he is, and that is only possible through the process of devotional service. And as the purport says, where do we gain this knowledge from of devotional service? Prabhupada says through Shastra, like Srimad Bhagavatam. Because perfect knowledge means knowing Krishna is the root of everything. That is what perfect knowledge is. So yes, we can realize the Lord as one of his three features, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, as per our realization, as per our capacity at this point. And also remember, Prabhupada says that the Lord is not just a common living entity like you and I, because we have to pray to see the face of the Lord. Krishna just has to look in the mirror, and he'll see his own face. And even if you have no knowledge or you have partial knowledge of the Lord in some way, it's not complete knowledge, but it's still something. It's a basis to go on. It's a good place to start. But we have to put in the endeavor in this relationship. We don't just jump into relationships willy-nilly in the material world for ourselves. We take a lot of care and consideration. So we have to take some care and consideration for the Lord and put in the endeavor to his relationship. And he will do the same, likewise, if he sees us making an effort. But, as the verse says, or as we're understanding, we have to ask for some mercy. We have to realize that we can't do this all on our own. Why? Because we're a common living entity, as is highlighted. And if we put in the endeavor, Krishna will reward us with the mercy. And what is that? That means realizing, as the purport says, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Lord Sri Krishna, who is known as Vasudev, is everything. He is Brahman, he is Paramatma, he is Bhagavan, the root and the branches, as Prabhupada says. Krishna's body, Prabhupada is saying, is very, very effulgent. So those who have achieved this point of Brahman realization, they have realized Krishna, but only up to a certain point, not in completion. There's a lot more to go, depending on your sincerity. But we have to see that there's a lot more to Krishna than just this effulgence. And because we do not have bhakti, or the Gyanis and so on who have reached this point of realization, they do not have bhakti, so that's why they only see an effulgence. They don't have this relationship with the Lord or this desire to know him in completion, right? So Brahman realization of Krishna is realization, but minus the form of the Lord, minus the personality of the Lord. And this is ultimately why we need to go deeper. Because how can I actively build a relationship with a person who has no form or no personality? You're kind of stumped, right? Because when you try to get to know someone, they have a form you can look at, features you can analyze. They have a personality that you can interact with. There isn't much to go on if you don't have a personality or form to interact with in any way. And that is why Prabhupada says that the highest aspect of the Purusha, or the aspects of the Lord, is Bhagavan. Krishna in himself, with all his attributes, his form, his personality, his activities, his paraphernalia, his pastimes. This is why this is the highest. Because you can actively have a relationship with Krishna in this way, because he has an actual other person to talk to, right? That is why Bhagavan contains all that there is in Brahman and Paramatma, but so much more than that as well. And we have to understand, based on this verse, that basically there is a supreme being, Krishna, who transcends everything material. He transcends it by so much, right? If all Krishna had to do was be the Ishvara, be the maintainer, be the controller, just like oversee everything, not really interact, the kingdom of God wouldn't be a particularly exciting place. we'd all just, in our effulgences float around and just float around. I mean, when you actually think about it, that doesn't sound very appealing in any way. Because why are we in the material world? Because, we want some relationship, we want some interaction. So why would we go somewhere where that isn't possible in any way? I'd rather stay here then, right? Because I get so much more taste, so much more rasa out of relationships and interactions. And Prabhupada is saying that you can have that with the highest supreme being as well. You have to reach the point of bliss or ananda, you have to combine the knowledge that you have, that there is about spiritual life, and you have to make it permanent and eternal. Why? Because as living entities, we are Satchit Ananda, inherently eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss. If you know you're eternal, if you know what your eternal constitutional position is, and you have the correct knowledge to get there, you're going to be super happy. It's easy. So we have made a start, a beginning on this journey of spiritual life, of bhakti. But we also need to understand that, starting the process of bhakti is one thing. Maintaining it is a little different. It's a little more than that. We have to put in some effort there and get some mercy through prayer. There's this saying, you see the hand of God in your life. That's a little bit, I think, like the Brahmani falls. You see the hand of God. But we don't just want to see the hand of God in our life. We want to see the face of God as well, right? So this is why this text is now, we've come to the end, we're coming to the end of the Isopanisad, and that's why now we just have to turn to prayer. That Krishna, please help me in some way. Allow me to understand you in your full capacity. I will make the endeavor, I will serve you, but please allow me to see your beautiful face. Krishna is not just some anonymous benefactor in our life. Like some people, they're going through a really tough time, and then suddenly they open their purse and there's like some money there that someone slipped in, or like, Krishna's not just some anonymous beneficiary. Krishna is our best friend and our well-wisher. And if he's our best friend, that means that he's a person, right? If you think about it, you can't be best friends with someone you don't know. And Prabhupada says that the supreme absolute truth has a higher reality than the impersonal understanding we have of him. And that higher reality is that of a supreme person who has a face, a mukham. Because the highest reality is Krishna himself in all his features, his attributes, his paraphernalia, his pastimes, his activities, his associates. He puts so much into having relationships that would highlight the importance, of having a relationship with him. If you read the Bhagavatam, he has a mother, he has a father, he has best friends, he has the gopis, the gopas, he's got associates. There are so many pastimes, there's I think 80 chapters in the 10th canto. He's put so much endeavor into cultivating a relationship with him. This would highlight the importance of that. And yes, we know, okay, we have the that prayer to the spiritual master, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Rena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah, that I was blinded by the darkness of ignorance. So yes, ignorance is blinding, darkness is blinding. That's why, they say ignorance is bliss. Bliss, But sometimes, darkness blinds, but sometimes too much brightness blinds as well. You can think of you can sort of relate to the Brahmajyoti like that in some way, that Krishna's effulgence is so bright, it's a little bit blinding for those who are not properly situated. Yes, there is darkness and ignorance in the material world. Why? Because we cannot see the spiritual truth that there is. We cannot take to Krishna consciousness. And we try to go from darkness to light. But sometimes when you go from darkness to light very abruptly, the light in itself is so bright that you get blinded, right? So this mantra 15 of the Isopanisad is a prayer to the absolute truth. Take me beyond the blindness that is caused by the brightness of your effulgence. Let me go beyond that. Allow me to go beyond that and to see, as Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, the ultimate revelation, which is Krishna himself. Prabhupada says that Krishna is the last word in transcendence. Krishna is the last word. Krishna is the conclusion of everything. There is no reality that is higher than him in his personal feature. It is to Krishna in his personal feature, as we are very blessed, we see the Archa Vigraha. It is to him that our practice of bhakti should ultimately take us. Krishna in his personal feature. I will stop there. We have 10 minutes left. Any comments, corrections, chastisements? Madhuranga?
Hare Krishna.
Thanks.
The first point I'd like to make is about cultivating relationship with Krishna. So many people, they're disappointed with the relationships in this world, right? But if they put that same energy into focusing, their bhakti and their relationship with Krishna, then they will have eternal benefit. So that was one point I wanted to make. And the next one was about the jnanis and the effulgence, basically, you were talking about. And, Krishna's personal form. So I was reminded of I've got so many points that I picked up from this class. I'm not sure which one to make. But so the jnanis and the bhaktas. So the jnanis are basically those who have speculative knowledge, and it's not bhakti. The knowledge is not bhakti. But when you study the scriptures of what that Prabhupada has given us, it's knowledge cultivating our bhakti. So this is the difference between ordinary knowledge or speculative knowledge and knowledge that will enhance our bhakti. So most people, or most devotees, they say, I don't want to, gain knowledge. I just want to serve Krishna. But the more knowledge you gain, the better you can serve Krishna, because you understand more about Krishna's features, and in this way, your bhakti is enhanced. Krishna, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gaura Bhumi. You were talking about how Krishna will reciprocate with us according to our level of understanding or our realization. I was thinking about something my Guru Maharaj taught me, that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that when a pure devotee or any devotee speaks about Krishna, there are two different ways in which he can speak about Krishna. One is speaking about Krishna's pastimes and interweaving that with sambandha jnana, knowledge about the soul in relation to Krishna. And then the second way is to just talk about Krishna's Leela, but the second way is higher. But Guru Maharaj explained that even when we're reading Krishna book, there's different ways in which we can read, but most of us will be reading in the first way. We'll be reading philosophy about our relationship with Krishna mixed with the Leela. But if we were very self-realized, actually we would just read about Leela the whole time. And you're also talking about how in the 10th canto we see how Krishna puts so much work into relationships. And you're also talking about we want to see the face of Krishna. And actually when we're reading Bhagavatam, if we read very deeply more in the second way, then we do get that. We get darshan of the Lord, and then the 10th canto is His face.
His face, yeah. The 10th canto is His face.
See those pastimes of Him with His devotees. We're seeing Krishna's lotus face. Yeah,
that's nice. Thank you. Reminds me of. I think I said the same thing on Wednesday, that when we read Bhagavatam or like scripture about Krishna, it's like when you read spiritual things in the correct mood, obviously, the correct understanding must be there. It's like it's going in a spiral. So a spiral means you start further away, but as you read it more and more and more with the correct atmosphere, with the correct mood, it's not like I read Bhagavad Gita once, that's it, that's all, I read it once, I read it, that's all I have to know, there's nothing more. But as you read it more and more with the correct mood, understanding, you get closer and closer like a spiral to the center point. So like, you may start on the outside with reading about Krishna and then the philosophy. But as you get more and more deeper and deeper and deeper, you will just read about Krishna himself and realize him in that way. Right? No? Anybody else? Jai Prabhu?
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you for that very nice presentation. In the Bhagavatam first canto, the verse there says the three types of transcendentalists that they see God in different features: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Sabjati. Nevertheless, they are transcendentalists, so they are in different levels of the Jnani, the Paramatmavadi, and the Bhagavan realized devotee. Then you were speaking about this effulgence. The impersonalists, they portray the Brahma Jyoti as the source of Krishna. Sometimes we say pictures isn't of Krishna coming from the light. But Krishna smashes all that in Bhagavad Gita. In the 14th chapter, it's the Brahmanoi Pratistaham. I am the source of Brahman. So this is how the impersonalists, they mislead and distort the actual message of Krishna that way. Therefore, the prayer there that we are so conditioned to understand. Plus, coming out of this 24 elements, it's like a conditioned, bodily concept of life, and each one. If you analyze the elements, they are like 10 times thicker than each one is. And it's kind of very tough and very difficult to overcome that. So, but one surrenders to Krishna can easily cross beyond all that. Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Shri Isopanisad ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hare Bol.